Reverend Paula Zabkar here from Spiritual Soul Center. Happy day, happy November, happy beginning of November. If you are listened to Spiritual Soul Center messages before, if you've been to our website at spiritualsoulcenter.org, you know that we are here to create a movement grounded in love and kindness that transforms us, our community, and the world. And we do that by growing ourselves, growing spiritually ourselves, by serving others. And we have a service project every month now in order to help us get into service to our community, as well as serving others by our tithing, which we continue to do throughout this pandemic from the beginning, actually, of Spiritual Soul Center. 10% of what comes in goes out in service to others. And those two ways of growing and serving, actually, transformation happens. That's what it's all about at Spiritual Soul Center. We are here to create a movement grounded in love and kindness that transforms us, our community, and the world. So let's just take that into prayer for just a moment and to feel what our heart and the wisdom that is rising from us is telling us in this moment. To take away the distraction and to simply be present in this one exquisite moment of our life. To feel gratefulness in our heart, to know from the inside that at this moment, all is well in me, all is well in me right now. And for that, our hearts are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Yes, all is well, all is well. The election's coming up. There's all sorts of things always happening in the world, always. Whether it's an election, a pandemic, all the things we've been dealing with in 2020. But how I feel on the inside makes all the difference. And that's what this series that I've been having for these last few weeks is based in transformation. Transformation happens from inside. So what are the ideas around that? What are the ideas around that? And how do I transform? Yes, growing and serving, but in my personal life, what is it that I need to embody in order for that to happen for me? Well, today I want to talk about acceptance. Acceptance. And to accept means to take a moment to realize that there is nothing outside of me that I have control of, not other people, not situations and circumstances outside of me. To realize the only place I have control is over me, over my thoughts, and over the way I bring myself to life. You know, Don Miguel Ruiz in his book, The Four Agreements, puts it this way. He says that nothing anybody else does is because of you. Nothing other people do is because of you. We like to think that that's the case. We like to think that we'll say something or convince somebody of something. But here's the thing. Here's the little perspective shift that is necessary for us to realize that nobody does anything because of us. That is that we can present our opinion. We can live our life in a certain way. But if someone decides to change or adopt something we're saying, it's because of a decision they make. It's not because of what we said. It's because of a decision they make in their life. Do you feel that? It's releasing that. And the other thing, and this comes from me, and you've heard it from me before, anything can happen to anybody at any time. So there are situations and circumstances that happen in the world and in our life that are beyond our control. It's the truth of it. There are people who will never be influenced by anything we say. And if they are, it's up to them. So all of that, those two things, calls me to release my resistance to what is, to release my resistance to people who cause me angst. We call it getting on our last nerve. And release our resistance to what the situation and circumstance happens to be in our life. So, like many spiritual ideas, it's like, okay, that I understand that, but it's much harder to put into practice. Much harder to put into practice. You've been hearing of my struggles and my triumphs with recovering from knee surgery. A year ago, October 15th, as I've been reminding myself and others, And I struggled for a long time resisting that, not accepting that it was okay where I was. I struggled with where I should have been, that after so many weeks I should see this improvement, after so many months I should be at this point in time. And it was a struggle. It was an internal struggle. That's where the struggle was, my whole resistance to it, until I finally was able to accept this is how I am with it. This is where I am with it. And the struggle in me started to abate. Did it change the outer in an instant? Well, no, it didn't. I'm still recovering today. I'm still working on it. But what it did in me was get away from that resistance that I had to what is in my life, to what is in my life. And we all suffer from that, don't we? So I was thinking, well, how do we do that? How do we accept so that we can transform? So that the situation might not change a whole lot out here, but me, myself, I'm different. I'm different. And because I'm different, the way I experience what is happening, the way I experience other people, that's different too. So how does that work? How did I get there? How do we get to a point of acceptance? I'm going to share a few things that came to my mind, and some of these I definitely experienced. And the first is to admit when I was afraid, when I was sad, when I was confused. I think I was equating those things sometimes to weakness and not being able to stand on the principles that I knew. But I was sad sometimes, and I was confused, and I was afraid. And so that was the authentic way to bring myself to that moment. And I think that's what we have to do. And what it helped me be was more humble. It helped me be more humble. I mean, I was those things. So to acknowledge those things was one of the steps on the path to acceptance. This may sound like the definition of acceptance, this next one, but to simply face what has been presented in front of us. To face it means to not try to get around it or over it. Sometimes that's what our goal is, right? I just want this to be done. I'm tired of it. I want it to be done. Maybe a lot of us are feeling that way about the pandemic. But the idea is not to get over it or around it. It's to be present to it. To not be pushing on and pushing on with my knee. That's what I was doing. Pushing on and make sure I was exercising and pushing and pushing. Well, that wasn't the greatest strategy. That wasn't the greatest strategy. The better strategy was to listen to this. Ask for help. Because when I was facing what I was facing, I really needed to have some help. And those of us who want to be there immediately when someone else is asking for help are usually the ones that don't like to ask for help. Isn't that the truth? We have a hard time just saying, I need some help. What if it was just a normal thing? Like when you need some help, you ask for help. And when you're able to give help, you give help. And when the shoe's on the other foot, you simply ask. What if we just make that normal? To ask for help. To show up to what it is, to not try to get over or around it, and to ask for help when it's too heavy. That's the second thing I was thinking about. The other thing, another thing with accepting what is in front of us is to get out of the only if and the blame game. That's a lot of times where we like to go. Well, if I only did this, or if I only would have done that, I wouldn't be where I am. Or he or she or they are to blame for where I find myself. Living in the past and carrying that is a huge burden. It's a huge burden. And it has nothing to do with accepting what's in front of us. I think we are wise, I know we are wise, by releasing that. By releasing that propensity and that intent, that way of blaming something, or blaming ourselves for where we are. To release that and let it go, and decide that it's better to live life looking forward with possibility rather than to carrying the blame from the past with us. That's a way of accepting. It's just to say, well, I'm here now, what's possible now? And leave the burden of blame and if only behind. Another thing is to take a wider view of life. When I was laying on the couch so many times in pain from my knee, it was hard to take a wider view of life. I had my knee right in front of me, I was looking at it, I was feeling the pain. But if we can do that, a stepping stone to acceptance is simply taking a wider view of life. Those times when I was able to look out the window and see the birds at the bird feeder, or to notice the blueness of the sky, or for Renee to just point out something to try to get my attention to look at the wider view of life, of what was happening around me, and that life continued to happen. And that really, in the context of my life, this last year was 1 year. I've been alive for decades of time. And to put it in the context of my life, it makes a difference. It makes a difference to us to realize that this is a blip, this is a temporary thing, this is a thing we're moving in as part of our life, to take the wider view. Ask questions. Stop filling in the blanks with made up stuff, and the worst stories of what could happen. Again, laying there on the couch or doing my exercises and thinking to myself, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to bend my knee. That wasn't very useful. It was better for me to ask myself the question, inside, rather than the jumping to conclusions about everything would it be, and rely on an inner wisdom. To ask questions of myself, to give myself an opportunity to allow the wisdom to come up. And another way to do that, of course, is to ponder and to pray and to meditate, to not forget to do that, even in our pain, even in our discomfort, to remember to do that, because that wisdom is there. And allowing it to rise up really helps us look at what we are in, look at the situation we are in, look at the people who we have angst with or tension with, and it really allows some wisdom to come up in us. Listen to your heart, listen to your soul. That's what it's about. Do that and practice finding joy. Like I said about looking at those birds or looking at the sky, joy doesn't stop because I'm in pain. Joy doesn't stop because I'm refusing to accept what's in front of me. Joy is happening all around. It's tough when you're feeling lonely, when you're feeling pain, when you're feeling discouraged. But remember the story that Mr. Rogers would tell when he was afraid and he didn't know where to look, and his mother, when he was a child, his mother said, always look for the helpers. They're always there. In other words, always look for that thing that will bring you some peace. That's really what we're talking about by accepting what is in front of us. There's that serenity prayer that many of us know. God grant me the courage, or God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What we're talking about by acceptance is to gift our own selves peace of mind, to engage in life fully, but from that place of peace, from that place of serenity, from that place of wisdom. That's what accepting what is in front of us means. Now, it doesn't mean that having gotten to that place and having accepted what is in front of us and coming to that place of peace, it doesn't mean we just sit there then. I continued to this day to still work on bending my knee, and I'm able to get on a bicycle now, and I have the focus to keep on keeping on, but how I am doing that and where I am coming from is totally different than where it was when I was resisting what was in front of me. And that's the key in this pandemic, in whatever situation you are feeling, you haven't accepted, you're trying to get around it, to come to that peace of mind and then to act from there. That is the powerful place to be. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, other people and situations, the courage to change the things I can, to be able to wear and embody peace of mind, and the wisdom to know the difference, the wisdom to understand exactly what that is. A stepping stone on the way to transformation is accepting what is in front of us, to get ourselves to the peace of mind, to be humble, to ask for help, to live in possibility, to listen to your heart, your soul, to be relaxed into it, to slow down. Really, the overarching idea here is to slow down, to take a deep breath, and go into your heart. Let's do that right now as we go into meditation today. Let's take a deep breath together in and out, and slow down. Slow down. Be still and rest in this moment. For the wisdom rising up in us, having spent this time so close to the essence of what we are and who we are, an expression of God itself, an expression of the divine, to come into that place of all possibility, of humility and truth, and all that is good already within each of us, within our hearts, within our minds, and within our soul. For this time together, we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. That's what I have to say today. Thank you all, always, for taking a listen. I hope you heard something that made sense to you, that inspired you, that helped you, that made you think. That's what my hope is. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Please stay safe and stay well. And let's offer this prayer to ourselves and to others in this way. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. Amen.